David Dean Show, your weekly look at Valdosta State University Blazer football, is brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of the David Dean Show. Coach Dean off this week with the Blazer football team not having a game, but we're excited today to have an opportunity to speak with head coach Mel Hines, our soccer coach, and Mike Swan, the new head coach of the Valdosta State volleyball team. And it'll give you an opportunity, I think, to get a little insight into these two programs. Soccer is a sport that really has taken off here at Valdosta State. The support has been outstanding for their soccer matches. And it's a fun game to watch, which I watched for the first time myself, my wife and I, last week, and it was a fun experience, a great atmosphere out there, and they've had some tremendous crowds. And then volleyball, the great thing about volleyball and head coach Mike Swan, he comes here with a great reputation. Coached at a Division I school in Evansville, Indiana, and has been coaching for 17 years. And we look forward to the changes he's made in the volleyball program. And the great thing about volleyball, too, I think, is that it's a fast-paced game. You're at the PE complex, and if you've never seen one, you'll enjoy volleyball because there's action going on all the time in that sport. So we're just excited about today to have an opportunity to speak to these two coaches, and really programs that maybe don't get as much attention as they should, but we hope to bring a little bit of that to you this afternoon. We'll be back in just a moment with head volleyball coach Mike Swan.
What will you find at Valdosta State University?
Challenging academics,
Innovative hands-on experience, over 100 fields of study,
engagement in a vibrant community,
caring mentors and friends, service and leadership opportunities,
championship athletics.
The full university experience
At Valdosta State University.
Welcome back. Glad to have a chance to talk with Mike Swan, volleyball coach at Valdosta State University. And Mike, you and I just talking. We have one thing in common. We both were born in Indiana. You were way up north, and I was way down south, and we ended up here in way south Georgia.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Now you're about as far south as you can get in Georgia.
Well, that was one of the keys to me looking into Valdosta. I mean, initially it was because I had always heard of Valdosta State and their great athletic program, so that piqued my interest right away. But I've always wanted to live in the southeast, get out of Indiana weather in the wintertime. And when I came on the visit, it was mid-February and sunny and 68 compared to 32 and dreary and cold back in Indiana. And it was a great visit, and I'm excited to be here and looking forward to a winter in the southeast.
Herb Reinhardt, AD, smart enough, he didn't bring you here in July and August, though. So
that's true.
Learned a lot about that.
Right.
Give us a little bit about your background in volleyball. I looked a little bit of things, but tell us how you got started with volleyball and how you ended up here.
Well, initially it started at the high school level. The first job that I took out of college to teach high school English, they needed a volleyball coach. And it pretty much was a case where I either had to coach or I didn't get the job. So I took the job and right away started going to clinics at Ball State under Don Shondell, who's kind of the father of volleyball throughout the country. And just kept going to his clinics, and I got at this high school, at Southwood High School in Indiana, at a time when we had some really talented athletes. And it got them excited about the program, and I was there 6 years, and we were very successful and won numerous tournaments and went to the state. And it was just a really thrill for me to get started into coaching, because I never envisioned at all of being a college coach for a career. It just kind of fell into place. And after being there for 6 years, then I went to an NAIA school for 8 years, and we were really successful there as well. And it just kind of blossomed after that, and that's when I decided maybe I need to look into doing this for a career. And like 17 or 18 years later, here I am.
Well, you got here to Valdosta. Season was really not that far off when you actually moved to Valdosta. I think you told me you had about 3 or 4 of those players currently now were your recruits.
Right.
How did you go about, how quick were you able to learn about each player on your team? You got all different personalities and that kind of thing. How did that go about?
Well, I started mid-March, and I actually had 3 weeks to work with the returners to decide in what direction I wanted to go with recruiting. And there were 10 players here when I arrived, and I released 4 of them and kept 6. And at that point, I knew that Sia, the former coach, had already signed 3 players. So that gave me an idea of what our needs were. And at that point, it really just took off pretty quickly. I'd had connections in recruiting throughout the Midwest and even in the South because of being in Division I. We had recruited from everywhere in the country. So it was pretty easy, really, to connect again with coaches and clubs and find athletes that I thought would fit in here really well. And I'm very fortunate that we got 2 quality JUCO transfers to come in this fall. We have a freshman from Chicago who I had looked at when I was at the University of Evansville. And then we got a Division I transfer from Winthrop. And I think all 4 are great athletes. 3 of them are contributing immediately. And all of the 7 newcomers are really gelling well with the 6 returners. So I'm really pleased with the chemistry that we have and the success that we've had so far.
Well, like I say, you did have gotten off to a great start this year, and I was looking at your schedule. A lot of games I didn't really realize, but over 30 regular season games. And then you got the Gulf South Conference tournament, and then you hope there's more after that.
Yeah, we do hope there's more after that, because in our conference we do a double round robin, so we play everybody twice, home and away. We open the season with 2 tournaments. We played 4 matches last weekend, and we'll play another 4 this weekend. And then we have a few midweek matches, including Albany State, and I'm trying to think. We have a couple other midweek matches. Some of the conference schools that are closer that will be playing midweek. Normally, our conference schedule is on the weekends.
And the Gulf South Conference, rate the conference. Who looks like to be in the top maybe 3 or 4
Well, West
teams?
Florida is always the cream of the crop. I think they're ranked right now number 17. They were in the top 20 last year. 3 of our teams from the conference went to the national tournament. So it's a really competitive conference that's recognized around the country for its volleyball. And that in itself was a real eye catcher for me in trying to get this job, because I wanted to go somewhere where volleyball was good and competitive, and where we, Valdosta State, would have an opportunity to challenge for a conference championship and get into the national tournament.
Coach, great job. Appreciate you coming in to do this. I know you're very reluctant, but you did a great job, and we appreciate it. And just gives the Valdosta State fans watching this show and fans around the South to meet you personally and maybe come out to a volleyball match or a game. I forget.
I hope they will. Yeah, I hope they'll come out to a match.
Great thing about volleyball, it's fast. It's
very fast. Everything's going all the time.
All right, Coach. Again, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dick. I appreciate it.
We'll be back with the soccer coach, Mel Hines, in just a moment.
The David Dean Show is brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and also by Mediacom, First State Bank and Trust, Blanton and Griffin, Anheuser-Busch, Holiday Inn, Prince Automotive, and U.S. Education TV.
Welcome back. It's good to have head coach Mel Hines, Valdosta State soccer program here, and your team's off to a good start, 2-0, Mel. But I wanted to go back just a little bit. You were hired in January 2010, had over a year to develop this program. Give us a pretty quick, if you can, recap of how that came about and how you did it.
Yeah, I got it. I did sign up to be the first coach here, and they gave me a year to recruit and build a program. And that's just on the road a lot, recruiting, watching soccer games, and just finding the best players we could, and then signing them in February before our first season.
And what a success your program was right from the get-go.
Right.
I mean, really amazing.
The kids worked hard. When we were recruiting, the whole mentality was, come in here and make a big impact the first year, not just wait for the senior year.
And I think you have to be pleasantly surprised with the way the fans have supported this program. And I will admit, my wife and I, Dana, went to our first soccer game this year against Florida Southern. Never had seen one in person. the second largest crowd in the history of the program, right around 650 people there. And the atmosphere was what really got me. That was really sitting right there by the sidelines.
Right. It gets us too. The kids out there, you can see the energy within the kids playing when the fans are rowdy and cheering them on and hoping for them to score. And our players step up when they're at home.
Tell me about your team right now, going after the 2-0. You had a good win, but I imagine as your schedule goes along,
right,
you're getting into the conference and things are really going to change.
Yeah, the first 2 games were the toughest, actually.
Oh, really?
We decided to up our level of teams that we're playing this season because we want to get region points and give us the best chance to advance on. And so Florida Southern, Florida Tech, we thought if we're going to be big, we need to play big. And so those were big region games for us this past weekend, and our kids showed up.
Tell us a little bit about some of your key players. Everybody's a key player, but,
sure,
but people, your leaders, let's put it that way.
It's exciting because we're our 3rd season in, so we've got a lot of juniors and 1 senior. And so all of those players are doing very well after their 2 seasons under their belt. And then we've got a lot of talent that's coming in, showed up. And they brought in something a little bit more than what we've had in the past 2 years.
This is, I think, a real compliment. I was talking to Coach Dean as we did his show a couple of days ago, and he said he likes to sit behind your goalie because he said, I love listening to her yell out direction and instructions to the team. I had no clue that was wrong, and he said, I really didn't either until I sat back there. He said that she was amazing.
She's like the quarterback. She's going to talk to every player. She's going to be intense, and she's always focused. And honestly, our first game, the tough one that it was her reason and her focus and determination that kept us in that game.
Well, again, I had to bring myself in this talking, but just watching soccer in person, the first thing, I couldn't do it because I couldn't run that long. I mean, just it's a nonstop action, even with timeouts and stuff. I mean, it's quick, and the games are long, but it's just always something going on.
There is. There's no timeouts, so that keeps it going. And the players have got to be fit, and they've got to be, they can't step back at any second, or things could happen the wrong way.
All right, Coach, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with the head coach, Mel Hines, in just a moment.
I got my MBA online at VSU. As a working mom who travels on business, I needed an MBA program that fit my schedule and allowed me to balance both my work and home life. VSU's Web MBA was perfect. I was able to spend time with my family in the evenings and then complete my assignments. My MBA is one of my greatest accomplishments. It was hard work, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. Don't wait. Start your MBA today.
Welcome back, Coach Mel Hines. We're talking a lot of soccer here this morning. Coach, we've talked about a lot of things. Let's go into the Gulf South Conference, which you'll be getting into here shortly, and talk about the conference itself, talk about the top 3 or 4 teams if you want to.
Sure. West Florida won the national championship last year, so them, they're not too bad, and they also won our conference last year. So they're the number 1 team in our conference and obviously in the nation.
By the way, who is ranked behind them in preseason?
Well, preseason polls, VSU got some attention there, so we're thankful for that. It's what we did last year that got recognized for this year, and we like being recognized as a team that's going to work hard and come out to compete.
Let's go ahead and then bring in some of the other teams that you think are really going to be factors this year. Maybe everybody.
I think everybody. I think this conference in the past couple of years is now taking 2 to 3 teams to the playoffs, and in the past there's only been 1, and so the conference is getting bigger and stronger, and so I think every game's equally important.
Is there a conference that traditionally has been the power in Division II soccer? I know you mentioned West Florida out of our conference, but is there a conference that maybe has dominated over the years?
I think Sunshine State. I also think the Peach Belt. Peach Belt's very strong with Armstrong Atlantic and Columbus State. Very strong teams.
And have you played? Do you go into any matches or games with those?
We do this year, and that's what we're wanting to do is to play those bigger schools.
Is it like the other sports? Are they in your region?
They are.
And that's why it's important to play the good teams and play those people.
Right, and we have Columbus State on our schedule for that reason.
So you didn't schedule any easy games?
No, darn it all.
You know, coaches are brilliant sometimes.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
understand, you know, but there's some coaches in all sports, they like to start off the first few games playing what I like to call gimme games,
Sure.
and there are those out there.
Right.
Maybe it's just to get their kids on the field and playing, and then there's coaches like pretty much all of our coaches here at Valdosta State in all the sports. You know, every once in a while you might have one of those gimme games, but they like to get right into it and see what they got.
We don't have time. We had the 2 games this past weekend, and then now we start conference play this weekend coming up. So that's there's not much room to, you know, find those types of games.
And as far as you travel and everything, I know there's a lot of traveling in this conference. Are you set with the number? Do you have to leave certain players at home, or can you take everybody on the team?
We just, due to budget and just even travel-wise, it's easier not to take everybody. So we do. We have 18 that go. Out of 29 kids, there's players that are left behind to put in a little extra work.
And then the last question, just put it on you a little bit. How do you feel about your team this year? What do you? I mean, I know you feel good about them, but
Sure.
Every week I'm sure you think there's something we got to get better at.
Oh, every practice I think there's something we got to get better at, but that's just because our bar is just so high and we want to perform, we want to compete, and if we want to go to the national tournament, we can't just play well, we've got to play great.
All right, coaches, we'll be to more soccer games this year, I promise you,
Right.
and appreciate you coming in here and talking to us today. I know you coaches don't like to do this most of the time
Not so
if you're not
much.
used to it, but thanks again, a great job.
Thank you.
We'll be back with the Georgia Farm Bureau look ahead in just a minute.
The David Dean Show is brought to you by Georgia Farm Bureau and also by Colony Bank, the Houston Clinic, Sunset Farm Foods, Drury Inn and Suites, the Georgia Lottery, and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Welcome back to the Georgia Farm Bureau Look Ahead. I'm Dick Rocky. Great opportunity today to speak with Valdosta head soccer coach Mel Hines and our new volleyball coach Mike Swan. I think a great opportunity for you to meet the coaches up close and personal and get a feel for their maybe their attitudes and the way they feel about this conference and their teams. And you can see both of them very, very confident. Mike Swan comes in with tremendous experience, over 17 years, coached a long time at a Division I school in Evansville, Indiana, and got to Valdosta and only had a few months to get some recruiting done of his own, which he did, but I think he feels very good about his volleyball team, and you'll hear that, or you heard that already, but Coach Hines, you know, she came in, had over a year to get things going here at Valdosta State, and just the program right from the get-go here with soccer has been good. If you get a chance to go to your first soccer match, do it. I did it with my wife this past weekend. The atmosphere is outstanding. You're sitting real close to the game. We had about 650 people at that match against Florida Southern, a great program. And so they come in 2-0. The volleyball team's 4-0. And volleyball, the difference, it's just a fast-paced game. It goes nonstop. The games are over before you know it. 3 matches, I believe, they play. So it's a great opportunity for you to take the family out and let the kids enjoy it. And I think they'll have a great, great time. Also want to mention some upcoming games. The soccer program has a game September the 15th at 2 p.m. against Alabama Huntsville. That's a Gulf South Conference game. And then Valdosta State football, of course, off this coming weekend, or this weekend that we're broadcasting this show. And they'll host Shorter on September the 21st. It'll be the first of 3 straight home games, and that'll be at 7 o'clock against Bazemore-Hyder Stadium. And the thing about Shorter, this is only their 2nd year in the Gulf South Conference. Valdosta State went up there last year and played that triple option offense, and it gave the Blazers some problems to start with. Blazers ended up winning by a big score, but Shorter is a program that's up and coming, only their 2nd season, I mentioned, in the Gulf South Conference. They'll be coming to Valdosta for the first time ever to play football. And that offense is so hard because you don't get to see it too much anymore, and Coach Dean is actually glad to have a week off going into that match, that game against Shorter. If you want to find out when other games are being played in volleyball, soccer, and football, just go to vstateblazers.com. You can pull up all the sports and find out any kind of information you want about each of those sports. Also, season tickets are still available. You can buy those individually for each sport, or you can go over to the PE complex to the ticket office and talk to them about a package which will get you seats for all 3 sports if you want to do that. So it's a great way to get the family out and get some support for Valdosta State. Would also like to remind people on all the soccer and volleyball home games If you cannot make it, you can actually go to vstateblazers.com and watch those games live on the internet. So that's a nice thing to do if you're out of town or just want to watch for a little bit and see how things are going. We hope that you've enjoyed this rather unique show today with football being off, and we appreciate Coach Hines and Coach Swan for coming in and spending time with us today to promote their programs a little bit. So until the next time, I'm Dick Rocky. Hope y'all have a great week.